Hi everybody, it's Miss Withers from the library, and today I'm going to be reading a book to you called Bear Came Along. It's one of our Georgia books this year. It's one that we'll get to vote on, and so it's a really good book, and we'll see if you like it as much as I do. Alright, Bear Came Along. Bear Came Along by Richard T. Morris. So he's the author, he wrote the words, and illustrated by LeEwen Pham. So LeEwen Pham, the illustrator, is the one who drew the pictures. Once there was a river that flowed night and day, but it didn't know it was a river until Bear came along. Bear was just being curious when he realized what the river could do, but he didn't know he was on an adventure. Okay, so I guess you think about what a river can do. What do rivers do? Where do they go? What happens in a river? Right, so Bear didn't realize what the river could do until Froggy hopped on. All right, so sometimes it takes another person to make us realize the power of something else. Okay? Now, Froggy was a lonely frog who was looking for a friend, but she didn't know how many she had. I guess Froggy's about to find some more friends. She didn't realize how many she had until the turtles showed up. The turtles tried to warn them about the things that could go wrong, but they didn't know how to enjoy the ride. If you look at the turtles, they don't seem to be having much fun. They're not splashing in the river or thinking about how it goes to different places. They're just worried all the time. Is that any way to live? I just think the turtles need to have some fun. But it says they don't know how. That's kind of sad. All right, so the turtles didn't know how to enjoy the ride until Beaver climbed aboard. Beaver was born to captain. He knew exactly where to go, but he didn't know about the detours. All right, what is a detour? That says they don't know about detours. Think about that word. Does anybody know what a detour is? Now, when I see a detour, sometimes, I want to tell you what this means. But when I'm driving somewhere and I know how to get there and I know the way I'm supposed to go, but sometimes I go the way I'm supposed to go that I've always gone, and there's a sign and it says detour. And when I see that sign, it means I've got to take a whole different way to get to that same place. So when you take a detour, you've got to figure out another way to get to the same place that you've always gone. So you're going to end up in the right place, but you're not going to take the same road, and it's not going to look the same, and it's not going to be what you're used to. A detour. You have to take a separate route. All right, so the beaver knows how to go one way, but he doesn't know about detours until the raccoons dropped in. Oh, those raccoons. It looks like they're having a pretty good time. Now, the raccoons were so excited about the twists and turns ahead, but they didn't know that they had to be careful. So they're not like the turtles at all. They know how to have fun, but they don't know, they love the adventure. They love the idea that they don't know what's going to happen next, but they still need to realize they should probably be a little careful. All right, so they didn't know that until they crashed into Duck. Of course, Duck does not look very happy about this whatsoever. All right. Duck was so content being right where she was, but she didn't know that there was a world to see. Now, sometimes a lot of us are like Duck. We are so content doing what we've always done and being how we always are and not changing anything at all because we're comfortable. We like being comfortable. But, there's a whole world out there to see. Do you think Duck should get out and have some fun? I mean, I do, but let's see what happens. So Duck didn't know there was a world to see until, oh my goodness, something is about to happen. I wonder if you can look at that picture and guess what is ahead. All right, they're on a detour, so even Beaver doesn't probably know what's coming up. But I bet some of you have figured it out. And now it looks like the animals have figured it out. They look a little bit surprised. I wonder what's going to happen next. Think about that. All right, I'm going to turn the page and see if you guys thought what I was thinking that's going to happen. You know, sometimes when you're on the river and you're going down the river, sometimes you're going to come to one of these, a waterfall. And so if you guessed that they were coming to a waterfall, you were right. And I have to turn the book because it's one of those cool books where the pictures change directions a little bit. All right, so Bear held on to Froggy. Froggy held on to Turtle. Turtles held on to Beaver. Beaver held on to the raccoons. And raccoons held on to Duck. Right. Oh, what a ride. Now, I was worried they were all going to get hurt. I guess I was being like Duck just then. But it turns out it looks like the waterfall must not have been too bad because they seem to be having a great time going right over the edge of that waterfall. So many different animals living their separate lives, but they didn't know that they were in it together until the river came along. All right, so I love this book for a lot of reasons, but I want you to think about, you know, there's the story of the animals going down the river, and that's part of it. But let's think about the lesson that this book is trying to teach us. Okay, so you have all these different animals, and they're living their own little lives, and they all have separate things that they do. Bear doesn't know he's on an adventure, if you can remember that. And so Bear gets familiar with the river, and the frog kind of is looking for friends, and of course he finds some friends. And they're on this whole river. So let's just think about what the river could mean in this book. The river is they're traveling somewhere. They're on a journey. Aren't we kind of all on a journey? We all kind of flow through our lives all the time. So I think that the river is kind of like life because we're always on a journey just going forward and we don't always know what's going to happen. That journey might be full of detours that we really didn't expect. All right, so they do have some detours on this trip. And sometimes you have like turtles who don't know how to have fun. Nobody's shown them a different way to live. All right. And then sometimes you have people that go the same way and know where they're going, but they don't know what to do when things change all of a sudden. Okay. And then you have people who only know how to have a great time, like the raccoons, and they're so busy having fun that they don't realize, well, you know, you can have a great time, but you should probably be careful. And then you have people like Duck who are so used to doing the same thing that they don't know how to change. And then you have a really big part of the book, the waterfall. And so I think the waterfall is when something really unexpected happens. I think that this year we could say that waterfall is the year 2020 because this year everything went right over the edge. None of us expected the waterfall. None of us knew what was going to happen at the beginning of this year. Nobody could have expected that school would stop for a while, that we'd have to all go home, that when we came back to school, a lot of us would be at home and some of us would be here, that some of us would be learning on a computer for the first time, that some of us would be teaching on a camera like this. Nobody could have expected that. That's the waterfall. Those things in life that you just can't predict, that you don't know are going to happen. But you can cry about the waterfall, and you can complain about the waterfall, and you can be sad about the waterfall, or you can just say, you know what? I've got no choice. If I've got to go over this waterfall, I might as well make the best of it that I can. I might as well enjoy the ride, and, you know, I'm there with my friends, and y'all, we can sink in that waterfall, or we can swim. We sink or swim together. And these friends realized that when they all kind of swam through it together, it really did work out okay. And so I think that's the theme of the book, that life is full of surprises, and sometimes when we adapt to those surprises, make the best of those surprises, you know, we might come out the other side even better than before. All right, so that is the story called Bear Came Along, and I just think this book really does kind of sum up this year for us, and I hope that you liked it just as much as me. And I'll be back soon with another story. And so again, this is Bear Came Along, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.